Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Tuesday morning. I hope everybody's doing well out there, kicking butt and taking names. The video is live. Okay, we've got a Facebook Live video going on right now. This is your AMA, your Ask Me Anything. And the biggest thing we're going to discuss today, we've got 3 different topics to discuss. The biggest one we are going to discuss is metabolism. How to fix some broken metabolism. Does your metabolism change over time? How does your metabolism change over time? So we're going to dive into that topic and chat about that a little bit. Suzanne is asking about glute development. How to make your glutes firmer, how to trim them down, how to tone them up. How often should we be performing glute work if we want those glutes to really take shape? And James Guthrie asked about how to deal with loose skin from weight loss. So those are the 3 different topics that we're going to talk today about on our AMA. So let's get right into it. The first question, the main question that we're going to tackle today is from Lana Smith. And Lana Smith says, I'm on vacation, so I won't be able to see you live. I would love some insight on gender, age, and metabolism. I don't think my metabolism works. Okay. Metabolism is such a hot ticket item. Now, I'm on the other side, right? You're on the side of perhaps the client, the public, the people that are trying to improve themselves, trying to get in better shape. Maybe you're trying to lose weight. Maybe you're trying to gain muscle, gain strength, be better at whatever you're doing. You're trying to improve yourself, right? To have a higher quality of life. That's what you are trying to do. Right? And I see fitness oftentimes from the other side, right? It's my business. It's my lifeblood. It's what, puts food on the table and coffee in my cup, if you'll excuse me. So the first thing that I want to tell you right now is a little bit of inside baseball. The word metabolism. That's a buzzword. That's a buzzword. Right now, hey, how you doing there, Anita? Right now, the word metabolism is a massive marketing buzzword. Okay, so what does that tell you? That tells you that everybody is concerned about metabolism. It's in the forefront of everybody's mind. You see it all over the place, on your Facebook feed. You see it in advertisements. You see it in commercials. You see it in magazines. Metabolism. That word, metabolism. So you're going to see an awful lot of claims, some of which have a shred of truth, but most of which are completely bunk and completely bogus on how to boost your metabolism. Boost your metabolism. That phrase right now is red hot in the world of marketing. Okay, so I want to make sure that you understand that from the start. That doesn't mean it's necessarily erroneous or flat out wrong. But whenever something is red hot in the world of marketing, you want to do one of these. And really take a look at what this word means, what that phrase means, and how metabolism works. Okay, so metabolism as we age, this is going to differ a little bit from men and women. So I'll speak in generalities and then I'll specifically discuss women because they have some additional issues with metabolism that occur. Okay, metabolism changes based on a load of different factors. One of the biggest factors that metabolism changes by is age. Hopefully we understand, when you're young, when you're a kid and you're growing very rapidly and you're developing and your brain's growing and your body is growing, you are going to be eating, and most of it is not going to cause any weight gain, right? That was my experience as a kid up until I was about, 17, 18 years old. I could eat anything on the planet. I would eat 4 meals a day, 5 meals a day. When I was in high school especially, oh my gosh, it was unbelievable. When I was in high school, I could eat a full breakfast. I'd pack a full lunch with like 2 sandwiches and lots of snacks. I'd eat all of that before lunch. I'd spend $10 on lunch. I'd have basketball, baseball practice after that. I'd eat a dinner. It wasn't uncommon for me to eat 2 or 3 dinners. Eat a dinner at 6, then eat a dinner at like 8 because I got hungry. I'd eat all the leftovers. Then I'd be back snacking at like 10 o'clock. Still looked like a skeleton. I looked like a coat hanging on a hanger. That was like what I looked like. And I couldn't gain a pound. My metabolism was really fast because I was developing, because I was growing a lot, and because I was incredibly active, right? And then when I was in high school, I continued to eat, or I'm sorry, when I got to college, I continued to eat like that, and then all of a sudden, the weight just, boom, piled on me. So yeah, my metabolism has changed over time, just the same as your metabolism has changed over time. But the biggest thing is the lifestyle considerations more than anything else. There are some other factors that are there too. As you get older, you tend to lose your muscle, and also your testosterone decreases. Your testosterone decreases, and that can also speed up some of that muscle loss, especially if you're not lifting weights. That's one of the biggest reasons why our community emphasizes weightlifting, weightlifting, weightlifting. You want to maintain your muscle. You want to make sure to build your muscle, because muscle requires more calories per day in order to maintain than fat does. So more muscle, higher maintenance. But even that isn't a massive difference. So just to give you a little bit of context, when I say it's not a massive difference, right? Sometimes I'll hear people saying, you need to build your muscle. If you build your muscle, you'll have a faster metabolism. Technically, this is true. But I track my intake closely, so I know what my metabolism is. I know what my maintenance calories are. I know how many calories I burn. I follow all of those metrics on myself. And I've gained about 25 pounds of muscle over the last 4 or 5 years or so. My metabolism, has gone up around 10%, like 200, 300 calories max. So while it's gone up, it's not huge, right? And I gained 25 pounds of muscle, and I'm 6'8", 235 pounds, right? So, and the reason I'm giving you this example is because, you hear people say that all the time, build muscle and you can eat more. Technically, it's true, but the amount that you can eat, the more amount isn't a ton. It's really not. That doesn't mean you shouldn't emphasize weight training. You should still make sure that you're lifting weights, you're kicking butt, you're taking names and all that stuff, all right? Women, I said I was going to speak specifically about women. Women do tend to have a more difficult time with metabolism than men do, but that is mainly due to the fact that because women tend to be shorter, they often have, almost universally have less muscle mass overall, right? Me, personally, I have probably around 200 pounds of muscle mass, of non-fat mass on my body. There are very few women on the face of the planet that can say that, right? Most of the women that I coach have maintenance somewhere in the neighborhood of 1,500 to 1,800, 1,900, so like within that window there. And most of them, the vast majority of them, will have about half of the muscle that I have, or possibly even less. It's just it's a difference in genetics, a difference in gender, a difference in training history, right? Hopefully we understand that as well. So that's the first thing, is that women just flat out have a smaller maintenance calories just in general. My maintenance calories are right around 3,000 per day. I can eat around 3,000 calories per day, and I won't gain any weight on those 3,000 calories per day. There are many women that I coach that have a maintenance of 1,500 to 1,600 calories per day. So if they want to maintain their weight, that's what they're eating, 1,500 or 1,600 calories per day. Now, if they want to lose weight, they either need to burn calories via activity or tighten up that diet. They have to do one of those two things. If you have a maintenance of 1,600 calories, you need to eat less than that. That's that. Right? Or you need to greatly up the activity so you're burning a lot more. Those are really your only two options that you have there, right? Is through via activity or via diet. We tend to focus more directly on the diet than the activity in almost all cases, unless there are some extreme cases. There are some extreme cases that I've seen with shorter, petite, sedentary / desk job women that have very low maintenances, 1,500 or so, and if I'm giving someone 1,100, 1,200 calories per day, oftentimes I don't want to go lower than that. And when that happens, then yes, we need to add in cardio on top of it. Now, let's discuss menopause, right? Women go through menopause, right? And menopause does create a down regulation in metabolism, right? A down regulation, meaning your metabolism is going to drop when you go through menopause. Now, this is a natural and normal thing. It's a normal process of the human body, right? Your reproductive system, for women, that takes energy. Everything our body does takes energy, uses calories in the process. And in your reproductive system, you use calories in that process. Each month, you use X number of calories. Each day, you use X number of calories. And then all of a sudden, you go through menopause, right? And Mother Nature decides, okay, your childbearing years are over. You are no longer going to menstruate. And when that happens, your body doesn't need those calories anymore because it's not menstruating. It's not going through the menstrual cycle. And because of this, when you go through menopause, by the time you get out of menopause, your metabolism has dropped about 10 to 15% or so due to menopause. Okay, so now what does this mean in real world numbers? Well, think about it. If you're one of those sedentary women that I just described that has a maintenance of like 1,500 calories and it drops 10%, 10% of 1,500 is 150. You're now at 1,350 calories for your maintenance. Now, are you seeing why women get so frustrated? It happens. Okay? Cindy, I just totally laid that out for you there. That's why you gain weight in menopause. Okay? Your metabolism drops 10 to 15%. If you don't make the appropriate adjustments, either with your diet or with your exercise, that's going to add up pretty darn quickly, right? You start eating 200 extra calories each day, more than you need. That's 1,400 calories in a week. It's only going to take 2 or 3 weeks, and boom, you've gained a pound of fat. That's that. Okay, so we need to be aware of these processes that are going on in our bodies. We need to make adjustments to our diets properly, and we need to have patience. We need to play the long game more now than ever before. And this is something that I'm constantly preaching with my clients, constantly. Okay. As I said at the beginning of this, metabolism and boosting your metabolism, this is a real hot word. This is a real phrase for marketing. It's a buzzword right now. It sells stuff. Okay? It sells stuff just ridiculously, whether you're talking about a product, a workout plan, or whatever. Anybody who's on my side knows that if you're going to run an advertisement or you're going to try to get people on board, what you want to do is you want to say, my program will boost your metabolism, right? It's a buzz phrase, and, well, quite frankly, it really doesn't mean much. So what's the main thing about your metabolism? Let's discuss the main thing. I mentioned it very briefly. The main thing about your metabolism that causes it to go down over time, there's a phrase, simple, or oftentimes the simple answer is the best answer, right? The answer that's right in front of your face, it's simple lifestyle considerations. Simple lifestyle considerations. I just had my high school 20-year reunion this past weekend. I wasn't going to go, but my best friend from high school, who was also my best man, kind of begged me a little bit. I said, all right, man, I'll come down. So I made the drive down to Cincinnati, and I went to my high school reunion there, right? And I'm hanging out with my buddies, the same buddies that I hung out with when I was 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old, right? You know what? When we were 18 years old, you know what those buddies would have done? Those buddies would have met somewhere for a little bit of a meal, maybe like 5 or 6 o'clock. And then we would have headed out somewhere to like some sort of like a club, probably, once it got a little later, right? We get all dressed up, go out. We were all single at the time, go out looking for girls, and we'd go dancing, and we'd go talking to them. Yeah, will we have some drinks? Well, yeah, we would. But you know what? We'd be moving all night long. We'd be dancing. We'd be hanging out. We'd be this. We'd be that. We'd be very active. Very active. Walking, dancing, running around the club, hopping from bar to bar, burning a lot of calories. We would. That was what would happen when we were 18, but now we're 38. So I decided to go down to Cincinnati, and what was the first thing I say to my buddies? Say, hey man, let's meet up at this nice steakhouse. There's a steakhouse called The Precinct in Cincinnati. Whoo-wee! Best steaks I ever had in my life. So I said, hey, let's go to The Precinct. I said, all right, that sounds good. So my buddies came over, and I met my buddies up at The Precinct, and we're getting shrimp, we're getting crab legs, we're getting oysters, we got the salads, we're getting cups of soup, we're getting glasses of wine, we're getting beers. I got a filet mignon. I got it with some hollandaise sauce, some crab legs on there. There was some macaroni and cheese. There was a bread basket. There was, right? Then after that happened, we went to the reunion, and there's beer set up, and there's finger foods, and there's this, and there's that, and we sat around talking to people. Then after that, we went to the after party. We went to the bar, and people were buying, some stuff, some fries and some chips and salsa stuff to soak up the alcohol. They're buying more beers. They're buying more shots. So look at the difference between 18 and 38, right? 18, hey, let's get a cheap little a sub at Subway, and then let's go out and dance and be active all night. 38, let's go to a really nice restaurant. Let's eat a crap ton of food. Then let's go and let's hang out some more, not be active, drink, eat food, right? And this is how our tastes change over time. The things that I did when I was 18, I don't want to do when I was 30. I don't want to dance for 8 hours at night, right? On the weekdays, I used to play softball. I used to play a lot of golf. I used to go play pickup basketball games. Maybe you used to do those same things. Are you still doing them at 38 or 48 or 58? Odds are good that you're probably not. And that is easily the absolute biggest factor to your metabolism. Do you lose muscle over the years and that lowers things? Yeah, that does happen. You need to make sure that you're working out in order to combat that. You need to make sure that you're lifting weights, that you're building those muscles, right? You need to make sure that you do that so you can stay strong, stay vibrant, stay healthy, and maintain a high quality of life. But the actual muscle itself, while muscle itself does burn more calories, it's important to have it, the difference isn't huge. And with menopause, like I said, when you're going through that down regulation, there is a difference, and you need to be mindful of it, but it isn't huge. It's a little 10% difference. But the problem is you take all of those various factors, right? Obesity is multifaceted. There's not one cause for obesity. Everybody wants to say obesity is caused by this, and that this might be sugar, it might be GMOs, it might be carbs, it might be, fast food, but there are tons of factors. Each of those things that I just mentioned is or may be a factor, but there's tons of various little factors that go into it. The biggest factor is we just become less active over time. We just become less active over time. That's the biggest factor that there is. So, Lon, I know you said you're on vacation right now, so I'll post this. Hopefully you get to take a look at it. And I hope you really do internalize and understand that information. Whenever I give a truth bomb like this, and this is a truth bomb, whenever I give a truth bomb like this, people fall into a couple of different camps. Now, I notice there's a lot of people that are clients that they're watching. There's Mary Lindsay. Oops. I'm trying to scroll through and see who's watching here, but I saw Mary Lindsay pop up. I saw Susan pop up. So a number of people popped up. The people that are my clients are like, yeah, because they trust me. They know I have their best intentions in mind. People that aren't my clients, sometimes they go, oh, and sometimes, oh, that's interesting. And then sometimes they go, screw that guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. My metabolism is obviously broken. But one thing you need to know about me, I never, ever say anything but the God's honest truth. So that's the God's honest truth. I have a good buddy of mine. His name is Spencer Nadolski. He's the doc that lifts. He's a doctor and a family physician, and he's absolutely jacked. He emphasizes lifestyle, weight training, proper habits, all that stuff before he's ever going to give you a pill to try to help you, cure obesity in that fashion. So, and he says, I can't tell you how many people showed up and said, my metabolism is broken. And I said, okay, and I've run the metabolic tests on them, and they are perfectly normal for someone their size, their age, their gender, their weight, their activity levels, right? He said, as a matter of fact, I've had that request hundreds and hundreds of times, and I've never once actually seen someone with a broken metabolism. It's that we're eating more than we think we are, especially if we're not tracking our nutrition. It's that we're not as active as we think we are. We're not burning as many calories as we think we are, right? All of those factors kind of add up, and there you go. So it's the myth of the broken metabolism, okay? So, Lana, hopefully that makes sense. Sue had a great question. This one is a little bit more straightforward and less complicated. It's about glute development. Suzanne, that's actually two words. It's not Susan. Suzanne wants to grow that peach. And she's asking about it. She says, deadlifts, squats, hip thrusters. How many do you have to do in order to prevent getting a flat butt or to build your glutes up? And the answer is all of them. Okay, but seriously, like all of them. Now, when you're trying to grow a muscle, because that's really what you're trying to do here, Sue, you're trying to grow your glute muscles. Okay, that's what you are attempting to do. Cindy, I'll circle around to that question a little bit here, okay? But you're trying to grow your glute muscle. Now, your glute muscle is a set of muscles just like any other muscle, whether you're talking about your biceps, your chest, your shoulders, your legs, quads, right? It's a set of muscles. So let's discuss muscular growth and how this works, okay? All of the research shows that if you are working a muscle group in an attempt to make that muscle group bigger and stronger, if you work that muscle group one time per week, it might get stronger. It probably won't get bigger. Once per week is kind of considered the maintenance, right? At least the minimum amount you should do once per week. Twice per week is way better than once per week. But even that leaves a little bit on the table. 3 times per week for all of the science, all of the research, 3 times per week seems to be the sweet spot. It hasn't necessarily been proven that going to the 4th or the 5th time per week that there's a major benefit over just 3 times per week. But oftentimes with clients, I will actually program things 4 times per week for them, or occasionally even 5. And the reasoning behind that, the studies that show that 3 times per week is adequate, and there might not be a benefit to 4 or 5 times per week. Those are with highly trained individuals, and they might have like a glute day where they're doing 10 sets of glutes, 15 sets of glutes, right? They might be doing front squats and lunges and hip thrusts and deadlifts, right? So they're really, really, really crushing those glutes. So because of that, and these are highly trained competitive athletes, because of that, sometimes I'll go to 4 or 5 days per week because, hey, this is Any Man Fitness, right? See the banner right there. So we're normal people. That's why I'm showing you this. So sometimes maybe you don't get the proper stimulus with just 3 days per week, and yeah, we'll go to 4 days per week, or sometimes even 5 days per week. And Sue, you want to make sure that you do a couple of things. I'm not sure if you've picked up my glute guide, Sue. If you haven't, I'll send you a copy there, right there, underneath your question. I'll link it for you. But the glute guide has 5 of my favorite glute exercises, and one of the biggest things you're going to want to make sure that you're doing is activating your glutes. It's actually pretty easy to do squats, to do step-ups, to do deadlifts, and to not activate your glutes, and instead, your quads are moving the muscle, your hamstrings are moving the muscle, right? That's sort of a thing. It happens pretty frequently. You need to make sure that you're activating those glutes. Your glutes you should feel it. Maybe not sore afterwards, but you should definitely feel fatigued in the glute muscles. You should have a sore ass, or at least feel it in that area, okay? So make sure that you're doing that. Sue, what are my favorite moves? Well, I'm going to give you that glute guide there, but I'll let you know. My absolute favorite moves for glute development, easily my favorite, is the Romanian deadlift. The Romanian deadlift. Normal deadlifts definitely do move the glutes, but with a Romanian deadlift, and you'll see an example of Romanian deadlift in the guide if you're not sure what that is, but with a Romanian deadlift, you have full tension in your glutes throughout the entire range of motion. It's a little different than a deadlift. With a deadlift, right, you lift the weight up, but then you tend to drop it back down to the floor, right? It starts from a dead position. The Romanian deadlift is a little bit of a variation of that. It keeps the tension in those glutes, right? And when you're doing them, if you're doing them properly and you're lifting with your hips and with your glutes, you're really going to feel it. But Sue, to directly answer your question, I would go at least 3 times per week. At least. You might even want to go to 4 or go to 5. Right? So really hammer those glutes at least 3 times per week. I'd make sure to do a nice little blend. Barbell back squats are okay, but in actuality, they might not be the greatest when it comes to glute development. One of my favorite tricks for glute development is a high foot placement leg press. Right? So if you're doing a leg press and you have that pad, you put your feet as high up on the pad as you can. And then that way you can really focus on those glutes as you're pushing out. That's one of my favorite glute development exercises. I mentioned the Romanian deadlift. I love walking lunges. Actually, I hate walking lunges, but for glute development, I love walking lunges. Dumbbell step-ups, that's a good one too. I like dumbbell step-ups a lot because you can really isolate the glutes one leg at a time. If you're putting your foot up on top there and you drive your heel through the top of that platform, you are using your glutes to go all the way up. That's an excellent one. I like goblet squats. I like sumo goblet squats. Those are really nice as well as far as glute development. But a nice mixture of those exercises that I gave you. And you need to have patience, Sue. You need to use progressive overload, get stronger, be able to do more reps and more sets over time, and realize this is going to take some time. It's going to take, and how much time? When you're talking muscle growth and muscle development, you're talking years. Muscle growth is measured in years. And about 2014 or so, I said, man, my arms are really, really skinny. I only have like 14-inch arms, and I wanted to grow my arms and get bigger biceps, right? It was about 2014, maybe 2015, around the turn of the year. So gosh, you're looking at 4 or 5 years later. In that time, my biceps have grown about 3 inches. They're now about 17 inches. So that's in like 4 or 5 years. They grew 3 inches. So, Sue, that's the way it works for a natural lifter. Hey, Renee, how you doing there? That's how the way it works for a natural lifter. You need to have patience. You need to keep at it. And then you need to make sure that you have a nice diet as well, right? Because while your glutes might get firmer and take better shape when you're lifting with them constantly, if you have excess fat on them, the only way to get that taken care of is with your diet, your diet, your diet, your diet. You can do a zillion squats and hip thrusts per day if you want to, but that's not going to cause fat loss. That will cause muscle gain. So a nice combination of, as I said, at least 3 times per week with a variety of different exercises, combined with a good diet, is your best bet to transform those glutes, and it will take some time in order to do that. So please have patience. The last question that I had, this is a pretty straightforward one. James says, how to deal with loose skin from weight loss. Pretty common question. We have a number of people that have lost, just loads of pounds, 100 plus pounds, over in the Army of Greatness with the Clients Only group, and that's something that it can be an issue. Now, I will tell you a few things. First off, strength training will help the condition, right? And the condition really comes from you most likely gained weight a little bit too fast, and then you lost that weight, and the skin, which expanded to fill out the size of your body when you had gained the weight, that is now shrinking, and you're left with the skin. I think we've all seen that. Maybe it happened to you. Maybe somebody that's happened to. Strength training over time will help. I've heard some stuff about vitamin E and possibly putting some vitamin E creams on it and stuff. In all honesty, that stuff, the creams, pills, potions, that sort of thing for loose skin or for stretch marks, maybe it would help a little bit, but is it going to make a drastic difference if you have a lot of loose skin because you lost a lot of weight? No, it's not going to make a drastic difference. So over time, here's what I would do, James, if you have this issue right now. First off, what a freaking awesome issue to have. You have this issue because you took control of your life, you started watching your diet, you started exercising, and you lost a crap ton of weight. My hat is off to you. I'll tip my hat to you, I guess. So be proud of this. We discuss that all the time over in the Army of Greatness as well. Be proud of it. If you've got some loose skin hanging there, that's a battle scar, James. That means that you conquered this beast and you're on the other side of it. So don't be embarrassed by it at all. I know that's a difficult thing to say. I have stretch marks myself from gaining a ton of weight. Luckily, the loose skin thing didn't really hit me, but I have a lot of stretch marks because I used to weigh you may not know that, I used to weigh around 300 pounds or so. So I know what you're saying. I used to be real self-conscious about them. But most of us have imperfections, and I've just come to learn to live with it. And if people say, "Oh, you got some stretch marks there," I go, "Yeah, I've lost a lot of weight, and I'm kind of proud of it now." Yes, I've got stretch marks. But anyways, so lifting weights over time will help because you'll gain muscle in those areas, and that'll tend to smoothen out the skin a little bit. Also, time will help. The skin is elastic; it will slowly go in. But in all honesty, I'm not going to lie. In many cases, there's only so much you could do, and sometimes if you're very self-conscious about it and you really want to fix it, surgery, that's your option. If you give it 2 or 3 years of lifting and and you give it time and the skin is still not shrinking back to where it goes and you want to fix it, that's probably your only option. So sorry to be kind of a buzzkill there, James, but as I said, I'm an open and honest person, and I'd tell it like it is. So hopefully this helps. There was one more question. Let me see if I can get it. The question was a pretty daggone open-ended question. What's a good number of calories to lose weight? How much cardio should you do? Cindy, I'm feeling like I'm in a giving mood here. That is a very loaded and big question. Okay, ready? You want to lose fat? I'm going to end this with my 30-second fat loss macros. You may need to rewind this a couple times and write down exactly how this works. Okay, ready, Cindy? Take your body weight, multiply it by either 8, 9, or 10. If you've got 20 pounds or less to lose, multiply your body weight by 10. If you've got between 20 and 40 pounds to lose, multiply your body weight by 9. If you've got more than 40 pounds to lose, multiply your body weight by 8. Then I want you to take that number, whatever that number is, I want you to divide it by 3. The answer that you get, that's how many calories of protein, calories of carbs, and calories of fat you want to consume each day. So let's say you took your body weight and you multiplied it by 10 and you came up with 1,500. There's your fat loss calories, 1,500 calories per day. Take 1,500 divided by 3, that's 500. So that means you have 500 calories of protein, 500 calories of carbs, 500 calories of fat. That's how many calories of each of those macros you want to eat each day. Your protein and carbs, that 500 calories there, 500 calories there. Divide 500 by 4. You get 125. You want to eat 125 grams of protein, 125 grams of carbs. Fat, those 500 calories, you want to divide those by 9. You want to divide those by 9. So you're looking at 70 something, right? I do have a calculator here. 500 divided by 9. Oh man, I am way, way bad. You can tell I haven't been in the classroom for a while. 55. 125 grams of protein, 125 grams of carbs, 55 grams of fat. There's your macros. You want to go calories only, just aim for 1,500. Okay? Now, last thing, I know a lot of my clients are watching this. Don't take what I just said out of my mouth as gospel. That's a beginner's template. That's a starting point. It's a generic template. If you're with me, you have personalized and unique macro setups to your metabolism. And I have to give that as a disclaimer because every time I do something like that to help somebody get started and give them a vague and generic set that's going to help them, every time I do that, I get like 7 messages from clients that are like, but wait a minute, you said to do this and my macros are different. You're on a personalized setup from me, right? All right. Hope you enjoyed this AMA. Hope that helped answer some questions. And I hope you have an awesome rest of your week. Talk to you guys later.